Hello and welcome to Phonostage. Just doing a quick video, one of a succession of quick videos that I'm going to do. This is, there's two things going on here. The first is, hopefully, you'll notice that the sound has improved. It sounded like I was swimming in a sea of reverb before, or I was broadcasting from a cave. So I've brought this pretty cool, comes in here, Rode Wireless Go microphone. Plugs into the, well, there's a receiver, plugs into the iPhone just up here, and so far it just sounds brilliant. I mean, it's totally different from the built-in iPhone microphone, which does work, but you know, really does sound like I'm this big. So comes with a cool pouch, you can carry it around with you. It's something worth keeping with you, you know, just in case you want to make a off the spur of the moment video. So I'll just clip this back on. Excuse all the clunking noises. And the other thing is that we were forced to sell our beloved Slee Proprius amplifiers, and that is because somebody made us an offer that we couldn't refuse. So I've lived without them for a couple of weeks. It's been heartbreaking. Ordered another pair straight away, and I've got them. So when we got the first set, you know, you probably know we're big fans of Slee stuff here. I think it is the best stuff for the money. I think it's no frills. It doesn't have anything it doesn't need. It just needs to sound great, and it does that extremely well. So we just got the other ones out in our eagerness, plugged them in. We've been listening to them ever since. So I denied you the privilege and the honour and the pleasure of seeing us get some out of the box. So I thought I'd do it now. So this is how they come. Nothing high tech here. This isn't, you know, this doesn't come from the corporate packaging department. You know, it's not that kind of setup. Everything is functional and recycled. But here we have, a bit tight that, let's get it, let's do it upside down. There you go. Right, let's put that down there, and I'll recycle that box. I don't throw my packaging away. I don't think you should either. And if anybody ever gets anything off us that it comes in a second-hand box, that's why. We're completely against the idea of keep lobbing stuff away. I'll just try and peel the Amazon labels off first so that we're not, you know, advertising for anybody else. So this is where it starts to look nice. Okay, we've got two gorgeous boxes. And inside each, these are very nicely packaged, nicely put together. Okay, we have the rather delicious Proprius monoblock, one of. Each one comes with an individual power supply. So I'll just show you this, because I'm just going to litter everywhere with packaging. So each one comes with its own power supply, and with them being monoblocks, you know, of course, the benefit of that is increased stereo separation, because there's no shared components apart from the preamp. So if the preamp's designed to a high standard to match these, you know, you're in for a very three-dimensional experience. And I'll just show you that. So it's very nicely put together. The bottom of the case is also the heatsink, and this, the way that this has been designed and made allows it to be so small, and it doesn't have anything that it doesn't need. It's pretty gorgeous. But the real strength of these is how they sound, and compared to a lot of other amps, I'm not going to sort of say that, well, one in particular I can think of, which is one of my favourite amps I have in musical fidelity. This is my own amp, an A3.5. Now, I don't know if any of you know the A3.5 and the A5 and the new Vista really are up in the revered musical fidelity amps category. They sound fantastic. I've took many an amp home, compared it to the old 3.5. I use it as kind of a reference, that and a few other bits, and you know, as a benchmark, it's brilliant, and there's not an awful lot sounds better than it. It really isn't. But these do. So let's get the other one out. Then I'll tell you why they sound better. Okay, so here's number 2. Okay. See, I reuse these bags as well for my lunch. Okay, so there's the pair. And what a lovely pair they are. Balanced inputs. And they're designed to be operated, really, if you use them with the Majestic preamp, which I would heartily recommend. They're designed to be used with the volume on full. So these are driving all the time. They're not intended to be switched off. They're supposed to be left on. I mean, that's all the time, really, even when you sort of go away and leave them. And there are figures, you know, on the Graham Slee website, and I'm happy to post them if anybody wants to know what they are, about what the power consumption is. It's not a lot. And but that's basically how they come. An interesting thing about them is, I'll get back to the sound in a minute. I'm just wading my way through all the packaging instructions. 2 of these. Okay, and the other power supply. And then this is what I was looking for. So, spare fuse. Having the spare fuse and these kind of makes me think of the professional audio leanings of this company and Graham Slee and the sort of the BBC studio background, because this is like they come with a mounting kit. The idea being that you can mount these one onto the back of each speaker, if you don't mind screwing screws into the self-tappers or drilling holes in the back of your studio monitors or whatever it is you're using. You know, you can keep your speaker cable runs as short as possible. You can feed them at a distance with the balanced cables going in. And it kind of effectively turns your speakers into a pair of active monitors. So say if you were using them for a monitoring purpose, your audio interface would be a preamp. So say in my case I've got a universal audio interface that would run balanced out into these, which may be strapped to my speakers or, you know, wherever. And so they're very versatile in that respect. But whether or not they were designed with hi-fi or monitoring or whatever in mind, they were actually, I think, designed as a hi-fi component, but I'd be happy to check that out with the man himself. But they just sound absolutely amazing. They're so let's just compare them to the benchmark musical fidelity first, because I'll go back, I'll do a review thing on this. This is just it's an introduction to them, really. If you want to hear these, by the way, I'm not letting these ones go. They'll be on demo in the demo room, and you know, you can call us. We've got a Majestic preamp as well, hooked up, that's going to be hooked up to these, which is a work of art. It's a wonder of science. And then we've also got a reflex moving magnet Phonostage, all Graham Slee stuff. So we're happy to demonstrate all those together. It's a very satisfying experience. So in terms of how they sound, so these are 25 watts a channel into 8 ohms. Maybe I think, is it 35 into 4 ohms? I'm supposed to know this off the top of my head, but anyway. Doesn't sound like a lot, okay? And the musical fidelity is a lot more. It can put out 150 watts a side. It's very heavy, it's very big, it's a lot more engineered. There's a lot of gizzards in it, you know, sort of spilling out when you open the case. It looks very well put together. There's lots of components. There's what you'd expect, really. And these are quite small and fairly light and simple. And so, and a fraction of the wattage. So you would think that connecting these up, you know, you'll have a listen, you'll give it an appraisal, and then you'll go back to what you had before. Well, no, no. And it keeps happening again and again. These sound better, and you don't need all those watts. I mean, all right, these are running on full. So say like I should have took the preamp out of the other room, but I'll do another thing about the preamp, the Majestic preamp DAC. You rarely get it past a quarter with various speakers. I tried it with some Totem speakers, tried it with some Dali speakers, tried it with some Rogers speakers, and at the moment I'm using a pair of old Spender BC1s that are mushy sentimentality. But no, they sound better, and that is the end of it. You know, the more spatial. I asked Mrs. Phonostage to come in and have a listen because she was drifting by the room, and she said, "Oh, that sounds nice. What's that?" I said, "Come in and just have a listen to these. Just give me a couple of words." And I think she said, without knowing lots of hi-fi cliches, she said, I think she said space was one of them, space, and airiness or something like that, detailed, that was it. So, and she's absolutely right, because it's the mono blockness of them to a degree, the fact that they're completely separate. So imaging wise, they're going to be absolutely spot on. But it's just the fine detail in the sound, not harsh detail. There's nothing. They're not in your face, you know. But amps that tend to be a little bit on the more neutral side, or on the slightly mellower side, shall we say, could be at the expense of detail, you know, sort of like removing some information from that, or, you know, smoothing things out a bit, could be a way of making things sound warmer. You know, that isn't what's happening here, you know, and I'm going to be talking to John Cadman, who builds these, about this, you know, so I'm trying to line him up for an interview as well, for a blog interview, you know, like, so a podcast thing, let you know how that goes. But I'll be talking to him about that, because it is smoothing things out, making them easy to listen to for a long time at the expense of no detail and with more spaciousness. It's so three-dimensional and so easy to pick things out, so easy to pick something out, see it in its place, revisit it later on as you're listening and you're working your way through the instruments, thinking, I'm listening to that one, listening to that one, listening to that one. Even for complex things, I talk about Radiohead OK Computer, that's Nigel Godrich, isn't it, producer, they call him the king of gear. You know, you can hear everything, but there's a lot in it, and he's famous for his ability to make things audible and separate, even with that level of complexity. So another example is Beck's album, which was the same guy. It's what made me think of it. Which one is it? Come on, oh, I've had a mental blockage. But listening to Beck, and post it underneath when you remember what it is. But I'm going to have to find out. I'm going to have to Google it anyway. So it just sounds incredible. All the layers, you can hear how you imagine he created it to be, with layers. And absolutely each one in such distinct detail. You can listen to it for a bit and then switch to the next one. And that's all I'm going to say. It's turning into a review. It's not supposed to be. I'll plug them in and do that with you. So, but that's it for now. So goodbye to you. Thanks to the Rode Wireless Go, because you can hear me properly, which is fantastic, or might not be, depending on your view. And thanks very much to the chaps at Graham Slee for sending me another pair of these. I'm going to go and hook them up now and come back to you with my findings. And don't forget to subscribe, because we're going to go on a video making frenzy now, reviews, views, opinions, guided tours of the place, guided tours of equipment, interviews with hi-fi celebrities, whoever they may be. And yeah, so subscribe to us and like the video if you like it, and I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thank you.